Let's switch gears and talk about prospects. And let's go to the man on my right, John Hoven. John Hoven, what is a reasonable expectation for first-round pick Gabe Vilardi this season?
Well, Gabe Vilardi is penciled in to make the team. And if Gabe Vilardi doesn't make the team, it's because of Gabe Vilardi. It's not because of anybody else coming in and stealing that job. He's going to be given every opportunity to earn that spot. There was a little bit of concern when his back injury, a prior back injury had flared up around the time of the World Junior Camp. I've talked to a bunch of different people in and outside the organization. It doesn't appear to be a big issue. He's resumed skating there in late August and will be fine for rookie camp. So not going to be a problem with Vilardi. There are other guys that are going to come in and push, though.
Yes.
Jaret Anderson-Dolan is the prospect of the summer. His stock has gone up tremendously. And while they love Jaret Anderson-Dolan, this is a guy who has a Mike Richards level of intensity. It's not to say that he's a Mike Richards player, but at his young age, he has shown that he is a gamer. He's somebody who's going to push hard to make the team. Don't expect him to make the team, though. Jonny Brodzinski, here's a player who it's make or break time. It sort of feels like Michael Mersch from 2 years ago.
Yep.
Brodzi needs to be a top 6 player. He's a pure goal scorer. He's a Tyler Toffoli Jr. This guy just scores goals. And he needs to be a top 6 player. There's not a spot for him in the top 6, so therefore you say he needs to be a top 9 player. And if Vilardi takes that spot, there's really not a spot for Jonny Brodzinski. Yeah. He's going to be the extra forward because he's not going back to Ontario. So it has that feel for Brodzi that it's either now or never, which is unfortunate because, you look at what that kid did when he was at St. Cloud State. You look at what he did in the American Hockey League. He has the ability to score goals. But I'm going to say this about him, and then we'll get back to Vilardi. Brodzi needs to do something in the preseason. He's traditionally a slow starter. This guy needs to score. Preseason goals don't mean anything. Preseason goals mean a lot this year for Jonny Brodzinski. So back to Gabe Vilardi, what can you expect? He's going to play on the third line. He's going to play with somebody who brings a lot of talent to the team, and Adrian Kempe. I think you can look for 15 to 20 goals out of him. And to your point, though, in the new NHL, as that line, if they click and they start going, you can maybe start to expect more in the second half because they'll be getting more ice time and being given more responsibilities. I think big things for Gabe Vilardi. He dominated at the junior level. There's a reason his junior team traded him. Nobody expects Gabe Vilardi to be back in the Ontario Hockey League. He's NHL bound.
I'm really bullish on him. I've seen him play a little bit in junior. He looks like a real NHL player. He looks like a real quality NHL player who, may start on the third line, but if he plays as well as he could challenge for a top 6 forward as well. And like you mentioned maybe Pearson or somebody drops down. And we'll have to see. But if he can recreate that in the NHL, and from my perspective, from what I've seen, that kid is an NHL
Point
player.
about calling Brodzinski Tyler Toffoli Jr. The day of the draft, when they drafted Vilardi, one of my friends who's a scout texted me and said, great selection. And he mentioned Tyler Toffoli. He said, not the greatest skater in the world, but this kid can finish. And so the expectation is they got a gem. They really got fortunate he was there, I guess, at 11. So I agree with you. I think if he's coming in and he's healthy, because
he was going to be a top 3 or 4 pick, except for the back injury.
He's healthy, guys. He's healthy. From everything I've heard, he's healthy. I don't even understand why he was selected to the World Junior Camp to begin with. There was no way that the Kings were going to release him to play in the World Junior tournament up in Vancouver this winter. And if he wasn't selected, nobody would have even known that there was a little bit of a back flare-up. It would have been a normal summertime deal. He's fine.
But I think the bigger picture here is that we're actually talking about prospects. If we did this roundtable 2 years ago, it'd be dead air, right?
Yeah.
It'd be nothing, right? I think the organization's done a marvelous job to hold on to the picks and make selections. The Kapari kid looks really good, and he's not going to be here this year, obviously. But I think there's now finally a pipeline. We haven't even talked about Cale Clegg, right? So there is hope, there is expectation, because when your team isn't that good and it sucks, you're looking at prospects and hopefully, but here, if you could add 1 or 2 players to this mix, this established core, this could be a really dangerous team.
It's also why you can look ahead to next year, Jesse, and you can start to see some of these players leaving. Muzzin or Martinez leaves next summer, most likely, because Brickley comes in. Because Cale Clegg, who probably won't make the team this year, that'd be a long shot. Clegg's going to make the team, or push to make the team next year. You have these prospects that are coming up and are starting to push those guys. You would never talk about it to Foley and a Pearson possibly not being part of the team but now you can because of the emergence of Vilardi, because of Brodzinski, because another forward, Jaret Anderson-Dolan, is going to come in. Earl?
Well, I think the question with Vilardi is now he's going to be playing against men, and like what's going to happen the first time he goes into the corners with Zdeno Chara, or someone of that nature.
Travel.
I remember watching Alexander Daigle skate around the queue and dominate. And then one game I saw him play against Steve Chason, and Chason laughed at him.
Well, a little bit different though. I mean, he's not the biggest player in the world, but neither is Jonathan Marchessault for Florida. But he plays a style of game, at least in junior, and I think that can translate to the NHL, where he knows where not to go and how to not to get hit. Marchessault does that too. Marchessault plays with an edge. He's a small guy, and he knows how to be in the position not to get hit. And that's what I've seen so far with Vilardi, because you're always worried about that with guys like him, if he's going to get crushed by somebody. But I think the way he played in junior, and if he can do that in the NHL level, I feel he'll be okay.
I just like hearing Slagle be positive about a prospect here.
When they drafted Drew Doughty, I was like the happiest guy on earth, because when I saw Drew Doughty, I go, this guy is going to be a superstar in this league.
Well, you really went out on a limb there. A guy who was arguably the #1 pick that year.
Yeah, but you know what? A lot of people weren't. And he went #2 because people were like, I don't know how good he's going to be, and yada yada. So,
and now he's the best defenseman in the NHL.
This was before the Kings even drafted him. I was praying they were going to draft him.
Okay, but you like Vilardi.
I love Vilardi.
Okay.
Earl, do you like Vilardi as much as you like Curtis McDermott? What's your projection?
Oh, I think Vilardi's going to be great. It's just, we've seen it a lot with junior players in the queue who just skate around. And, I mean, like I said, Daigle put up 200-point seasons. And then he got to the NHL, and he's playing against slower guys. You'd think he'd put up pretty good numbers, but they have seen the dipsy doodle move a million times. You're not going to fool them with moves that worked against 17-year-olds with acne. And, a back injury is, like in the NHL, playing against guys the size he's going to be playing against. I do have concerns about, back injuries are like knee injuries.
Let's say that line that we all think is going to happen does happen. Let's say it is Iafallo, Kempe, and Vilardi. Iafallo is your corner, like your prototypical corner workhorse, right?
Absolutely.
Goes into the corner, comes away with the puck.
Smart player, makes
turns
good
puck
decisions.
over, right? He's your gritty grinder, whatever phrase you want to apply it to. Kempe can fly. So already you've got 2/3 of a prototypical, like, perfect line. And Vilardi just has to come in and be the skill guy, right? The finisher.
Right.
And from all we've seen in his clips from junior, he can do that, right? Whether it's wraparounds, one-timers, broken plays in front of the net, wrist shot. I mean, he's just, right? There's a reason he was drafted where he was drafted. And if if Kovalchuk does work out and the second line works out, and you really are dealing with a team that can roll three, top three lines, it's going to be that much easier for that line. They're going to be facing, right? They're not going to be facing Zdeno Chara because Kopitar is going to be facing Zdeno Chara. Right. And if Kopitar is not facing Zdeno Chara, then Jeff Carter is going to be facing Zdeno Chara, right? Like, Vilardi's going to be out there against the Cody Cece's of the world. Right. And I'm fine with that.
And don't sleep on Brodzinski, because Vilardi doesn't have to play every game.
Sure.
You can slot Brodzinski in there to play right wing on that line, and Brodzi's a finisher. Don't sleep on him.
Coming into this roster, that's veteran roster, those three positions, that's the most intriguing part of this team.
Yep.
Everything's really other set. The defense is relatively set. Maybe your 6-7 defenseman is in question, but other than that third line could be anything come opening night. So I think to me, when I look into this team and I evaluate and see question marks and concerns, like that third line, to me, who knows? I mean, Johnny, you mentioned 5 players. They play for 3 spots. So
it could be Kempe, Amadio, and Brodzinski. I mean, it could be that third line could be anything.
And it's weird how you have the fourth line set, right? Basically Clifford, Lewis, and Thompson. But your third line is up for grabs at this point in time. So I think when fans go to camp and watching, they should be observing the line combinations on the third line.